Thursday, July 1st. Today is the nation's birthday. 39th birthday going on the 40th year.
So happy birthday to us.
To us, to ourselves. And we get a lot of flowers today. All the
yes.
Congratulations, good wishes from our readers, our friends, and everywhere. But, you know, the news goes on. And today, we are waiting for news from Washington to see whether Kun Noppadol Pathama, Thaksin Shinawatra's lawyer, will succeed in getting a resolution in one of the Senate subcommittees on the Thai problem. What does Noppadol want the Senate resolution to say, you think?
Actually, this is, if the resolution is announced today, it's not going to be the first one.
No.
The U.S. Congress has already issued a couple of resolutions on Thailand, but mostly those resolutions demand some peaceful resolution of the Thai conflict.
Yeah, nothing controversial.
Nothing controversial so far. I think that you have some background on the most strongest resolution on Thailand.
Yeah, in 1976, that was after the October 6, what we call it, the bloody October 6. The subcommittee, we call it Foreign Affairs Subcommittee of the Senate, which at that time, I believe, was headed by a very well-known senator at the time, Fulbright. He headed the subcommittee and he was quite concerned about the Thai situation. So he arranged for a hearing, inviting a lot of people to testify. And one of the most outstanding victims of October 6, 1976 was Dr. Poi Eungpakon, who went to testify and gave a very vivid picture of what happened in Thailand on October 6. And I believe if you go to the Library of Congress, you can still find that text of Dr. Poi's testimony. After that, there was a strong condemnation by the Senate, the U.S. Senate, against military action, against people seeking democracy at that time. And it was for us a very positive development, because otherwise we wouldn't have been able to find any international forum that would address the issue, because Thailand, don't forget, came under military rule after October 6 for a few years. And there was no way that the voice of democracy seekers could be found except in an international forum like that. But this time I think it's different.
Yeah, it's different. It sounds like a very complicated situation at that time. But now the situation is even more complicated. We have this accusation from both sides against each other. So it's really interesting to see how what kind of resolution will come out of the Congress this time.
In 1976, there was no election. It was immediately after the coup, and the students, were, a lot of them were killed and detained. But in the current case, there was a coup.
There was a coup
in 2006, and then there was an election. And after the election, there were two prime ministers who were sort of friendly to the government that was ousted, that was headed by Thaksin. And now the current government is, justifiably an elected government in a sense. So it's not easy for anyone to lobby the American Senate to say, condemn the Thai government.
Right. As we expected earlier, this after the battle on the street of Bangkok, now the war has been shifted to the international arena.
Yeah.
And Kun Noppadol is representing Kun Thaksin in lobbying for support from Washington. Interestingly, I mean, in this kind of situation, do you think Kun Thaksin should go to Washington himself and lobby for support?
Well, he should have been in Washington from the beginning, because that's where he could expect the most sympathetic hearing. Because in Washington, anyone seeking democracy, anyone ousted by a coup would get a good hearing. But he has not been able to go, or he has deliberately not gone to Washington, because I think he knows that it would be too risky for him to be in Washington.
It could be too risky for him.
Yeah, this extradition pact is also a family-related issue. Insiders would know why Kun Thaksin has not been to Washington and has sent Noppadol there instead. Or Robert Amsterdam, he hasn't been to Washington himself on this case.
So it's Kun Noppadol all around. He's doing all the work by himself.
Yeah.
He's meeting with, we believe, Assistant Secretary of State, Kurt Campbell.
Yes.
And he's supposed to be meeting with a few senators.
Oh, he's been trying to meet some well-known senators related to foreign affairs. John Kerry, Joe Lieberman. These are people who are quite active in foreign affairs. But they have also been briefed, don't forget, by Kun Kiet Sithiamon,
yes,
who was sent by the Prime Minister 2 weeks ago to Washington.
So this is quite an diplomatic warfare between the two Thai movements.
Yes. Now the war has moved from Bangkok Street to Washington to the Capitol Hill.
Yes.
Now we shall see what happens there.